And we'll talk perhaps a little bit about the social, moral, and legal implications of big data and what it represents. So let's start with a very basic question. You know, we read a lot about big data, but frankly, most of us don't really understand what it means. So can you just, what is it and why is it important?
Yeah, so Bob stole my line. There's this numbers that are thrown around about big data, 250 billion gigabytes a day being generated. And then there's these massive numbers that you can't even get your head around. They don't mean anything. So let's think about it from a little bit more of a little personal perspective. Let's think about how much data? No.
Whatever you call it.
That you're generating sitting here right now. What's going on right now? You're sitting here in this room and you're saying, I'm not generating any data at all. I'm just sitting here listening to Lopp talk and wave his hands around, but you're generating a lot. You've got your cell phone in your pocket right now. Every 2 minutes, it's checking its email. And every so often, GPS is kind of saying, where is this person? And that data is sitting on your phone, reminding you where you are. And you've got me sitting here on the internet generating a video feed of data. There's this huge amount of data that's going on around you all the time. And it's landing in different places, whether it's sitting on your phone or it's sitting up here on this hard drive with the video or sort of thing. But there's this data that's always being generated. And that's kind of when big data is obviously starts as sort of a technology in that we now have the ability to store all of this information. We have all these different data sources that we're fusing together into this one big way to kind of view data. But it's really kind of first way to think about it is that there's this massive amount of generated data that we're being generated all the time. And the question is, what are we going to do with it? Right.
So what are some of the myths and misconceptions about big data?
Yeah, I don't know. I think people, the first thing people have with the concept about big data is that there's sort of this Orwellian vibe around it. Big brother sort of thing. It's like, what are they doing with that? And the story that I always tell is about big data. And another way to kind of think about it is I was buying a car. I was buying a BMW. And I looked online. And one of my favorite things to do is look at Google Ads and see how Google is viewing me. Right? It's like, what are they giving me? Because I know they're doing a lot of work, looking at a lot of data to try to get me the right piece of data, the thing that they want me to go buy, right? So I'm looking at it. So of course, I go to the BMW site, and not a day or two later, the ads from Google are now BMW related. They're like, hey, you want a BMW, da, da, da. I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. And they're looking at all the data, they're looking at my history, and that's kind of cool. But I went and bought the car, I went to the dealership, I didn't do anything online, and I bought this car from this guy and got my car. I was really happy. And then not 2 days later, I go back and I'm doing my little Google ad watching, and the ads aren't about BMW anymore. The ads are about after-sale BMW things. They now knew, they now knew that I had bought a car. Now, and that's interesting. Where are you going to land on that? And therein lies like one of the myths about big data is are you happy that someone out there is trying to get you something valuable, or does it kind of creep you out? It kind of creeped me out a little bit about, I was doing this thing which is a very physical transaction of buying a car, and somewhere in there, a piece of data was generated that somehow made its way back to Google, and they realized, he bought a car now, so we're going to give him a different ad. So that's kind of one of the big things about big data is where are you going to land on it? Is that something that is a positive thing to you or a negative? So.
Well, what about the challenges? What about of big data?
There's a lot of different challenges there. I mean, there's a technology challenge there, which is sort of, I'm an engineer and I'm a nerd and I love these sorts of things. But I think the bigger challenge is, what are we going to go and do with it?